skill or ability that every learning professional must master to be successful? What's that one skill or ability, Jennifer?
It's so difficult to name one, so I'm going to name two. One is having critical thinking and being able to critically discern. And the other one is to be able to elevate humanity and focus on those human connections. Yeah.
Makes sense. Anuriti?
Yeah, I think being an excellent learner themselves, like being curious, open to learn, open to experiment, and being self-aware.
Okay. Okay. Sola, let's hear from you.
Okay, so I'll just stick to the one, which is storytelling. Stories are how we teach, inspire, and build credibility, and then it gets people glued to whatever it is that you're trying to sell to them.
So, Apurva?
I would name two. Something that I think has worked a lot for me is empathy, being able to put yourself in the shoes of the learner to identify the needs, and then problem solving.
Yeah. I love how none of you stuck to one word because there's just so many, right? We could have a whole panel just on
Yeah,
skill.
the last one is being a rebel. So all four of us are doing that.
Awesome. I love that. All right, let's dive deep into our journeys now. I hope that's given all of you a glimpse of, told you a little bit about our amazing speakers today. Let's get into their journeys and we'll start one by one with each one of them, right? So I'm going to start with Jennifer. And now let me tell you a little bit about Jennifer so you know the context better. So Jennifer is an education consultant, an author, University of Hong Kong instructor with over 30 years in international education. She's delivered keynotes, workshops, designed a range of courses. Her best-selling book, Concept-Based Mathematics, and her latest release, AI-Powered Pedagogy, Redefining Education, that she just spoke about, has influenced educators worldwide. Jennifer, we are so, so happy to have you here with us. And I'm asking my first question to you is really, you are a university instructor, teacher trainer, curriculum developer, author of books on pedagogy. You also run your YouTube channel on pedagogy. Wow, that's a lot, right? We'd love to know how you got here. What has helped you advance your professional growth and shape your careers?
A great question. And first of all, thank you, Shraddha and Miriam, for inviting me to be part of this lovely panel and to connect with everyone. I've been very fortunate in my life that I've had some great mentors. And I think it's so important that we identify people that we can really learn from and that we can be inspired by. And for me, that was my father. So I was very fortunate that my father nurtured a love for learning from a very young age. And he actually did not have an education himself. He was a village boy originally from China, but he self-taught English and started teaching English at high school. He self-studied independently political science and got into the diplomatic corps to represent one of the countries here in Asia. And for me, his lifelong learning, his thirst for knowledge was really, I think, reinforced by the big books of World Book encyclopedias that we had in our house. I don't know if anyone remembers the World Book encyclopedias. Does anyone remember those? Because they were probably from the 80s and 90s. And my father every year would purchase the New Year's set of books from A to Z. And if we wanted to know anything, if we were curious, if we wanted to learn, that was our internet in those days, because we didn't have the internet, we didn't have Google, we didn't have AI tools. And so my father really nurtured this thirst for and love for learning. And I think that's inspired me to try and have some kind of impact on learners in classrooms, to inspire, to motivate, to engage learners so that they love coming to the classroom and that they're intrinsically motivated to want to be curious and want to learn and further themselves.
Amazing, Jennifer. It's so inspiring how your father's really influenced your journey. That's amazing. Okay, Jennifer, I also want to talk to you about AI, right? Because you've written a book on AI-powered pedagogy and how that's shifting education. So just from your experience, observation, and obviously a lot of research you've done to write this book, do you think the jobs of learning professionals in education are changing with AI? And if yes, how are they changing?
Okay, so they are changing, but I want to stress that we will never be replaced by AI agents or AI tools. And I think that's because of those two really important skills that I mentioned at the beginning, the critical thinking, which an AI tool cannot replicate, and also trying to elevate humanity. And I love what you said, Apurva, about empathy. You know, an AI tool is an inanimate object that can't display any kind of empathy. And so as teachers, our roles will never be replaced, but we will evolve, and hopefully AI tools will be able to help us as really great teaching assistants and thought partners, so that we can shift, I think, from traditional approaches in the classroom and traditional pedagogical approaches to perhaps more engaging, more progressive, more inquiry-based approaches, where students are then more motivated to learn and we prepare them better, I think, for the future. So I think the teacher's role, it will evolve, but we're not going to be replaced. I think a lot of our, let's say, the things that I don't enjoy, the admin and the paperwork, that will be taken care of by AI tools. So all the low order, the low thinking, menial, inane tasks that we have to do every day, we want those to be, you know, actually automated by AI tools. But then the human connection, the empathy, building relationships with our students, that's why humans are so special. And why teachers are so special too, because of the relationship and the rapport that we build with our students. So yes and no. There's the answer to that question.
Jennifer, what about the curriculum? You do a lot of curriculum development, course development, professional learning development kind of work. Do you see that changing with AI, even in your work, perhaps?
Yes, I think, well, there's two parts of that. I think the first part is actually giving AI digital literacy lessons to students and teachers so that they actually understand the power and how AI tools can enhance learning, workflow, and institutional systems. But I think the other side to AI tools and helping curriculum development is that it's a great thought partner for brainstorming different ideas. I think we still have to have the human in the loop, and we have to be able to edit and modify and have an ongoing conversation with any tool. But it can really help us, I think, with brainstorming ideas, giving us ideas that maybe we wouldn't have thought about, and then we can edit, modify, and run with those ideas and make them even better based on our experiences as humans and as educators.
Definitely, that definitely resonated with me, Jennifer. Pretty much how a lot of people I know in our community are using AI. Thanks for shedding light on that and also reassuring us on the security of our roles. I'm going to move to the second speaker today, and Jennifer, we'll come back to you. I'm sure participants would have, questions based on what you just shared, so we'll come back with their questions. But Anurati, I'll move on to you. Anurati is a dear friend of mine, also content specialist with UNICEF Office of Innovation, where she scales Fundu, which is a chat-based learning tool empowering over 1.7 million young people with critical life skills across 16 countries. She's also developed game-based learning interventions with UNESCO and WHO that reached more than 2 million users over 25 countries. Wow, you've got footprints all over the globe, Anurati. Would love to hear from you. Many people here might not be familiar with the work learning design in the social impact space. So can you walk us through your role, your work projects, and your journey into this space?
Yeah, I think great question, Shraddha. And I think my own personal journey within, finding my niche in learning design, tech, product design within the social impact space has been, full of experiments. So I almost call it like prototyping my life in a way, because I think at the core of it, I'm a designer. And I studied engineering and science, like a lot of us in India have. I knew that there were a lot of options available for me, but I really wanted to do something meaningful and also something that would put my creativity into practice. So I think three things that stood out to me, and I'm going to talk about them. One is, finding out the skills that I would like to put into practice. So when I was starting out, I realized that engineering is not really my cup of tea. I wanted to be associated with design in some way, and that is when I started upskilling myself in UX design, product design, exploring roles, taking on internships, extra projects, all of that. So kind of honing my skills in the space that gave me joy. So, UX, design thinking, creativity, digital innovation strategy, all of that. And as the years have passed, those have shifted in ways, but that has been my first step. Then after I got into some UX design roles, I felt a bit disillusioned because I wanted to be meaningfully attached to the problem that I was trying to solve, right? Like earlier on, I worked with a few startups where you know eh, the main goal was to sell stuff, and for me, I wanted to see the human side, the human interacting with the learning tool or the solution that I'm building, and how is it fulfilling their existing need. So I think finding that challenge, and for me, it was designing for learning, designing for education, and especially I think SEL through gamification, game design is something that that this was a challenge that I like putting my head into. And thirdly, I think the kind of people I want to work with in my day to day, so work with and for. And for me, I think it was working with children and for young people. And I think one major thing is that as soon as you work with children or for young people, you're able to get out of your adult mindset on you know the right solution to everything, because it's a place of chaos and very open feedback. So I think that this the third node of who do I want to work with really helped me find my niche in learning design, and making it playful and fun, which is in a sense both a science and an art form, is how I see it.
That's so beautiful. I love how intentional, purpose-driven, and fun-driven, this journey has been, Anuruti, for you. Let's talk about careers, okay? So just if you could tell us, uh, what are the different kinds of learning design roles available in the social impact space and play-based design UX space that you've been part of, and how can learning professionals prepare themselves for this role?
Yeah, and I think great question, Shraddha. And I think a lot of times these roles are not, when they're posted online, they're not crafted in a way that would make sense to the other person. But because a lot of times, in the social impact space, the funding is so low that the learning design professional has to do everything. For my first job, I was given the role of product manager to manage a team, I was told. So when I went on my first day, this is my first job ever, um, I asked, where is the team? And then there was no team. So I had to find volunteers, hire a team, so do all of that. So a lot of times it's product management, learning design. Nobody's going to really tell you what you have to do, but there is a problem that is going to be presented to you, and you have to put down your hand and heart to make it work. So I think that's my take on it. And I think the good part is that tons of people are welcome. So if you have a specific skill set, you can always shape it in a way to meaningfully apply yourself to a project that speaks to you. Yeah.
That's beautiful. I think, that part about figuring out the messy details, because oftentimes, and this I hear a lot from learning professionals, that they feel like isolated within their larger organization. You're just, figuring it out. You don't have a team, and then, trying to build the team and sort of talk to stakeholders to explain what you're trying to do and why things need to be done a certain way. So definitely resonated a lot. We'll come back, Anuruti, with, I'm sure people have questions around social impact, learning design, game-based learning, etc. But we'll move to the third speaker, Shola, who requested that we use her brand name, which is So Zebra. So let me tell you a little bit about her. Recently recognized amongst Nigeria's power women, 100 and Africa's top 100 career women. She's a learning design specialist with over 17 years in education leadership and has served as head of growth at EduSco and director at Caleb Group of Schools. And she's also founded Sojebra Foundation and Leading Ladies of Learning. So lots of feathers to your hat, Sojebra. So happy to have you here. And I'll start with just your story, of which I personally find so inspirational, Sojebra. Your career has evolved from being a classroom teacher to leadership role in the edtech space, right? Many people attending this webinar may be looking to pivot like you did. Can you tell us about the challenges you faced and how you managed to overcome them? What helped?
Okay, thank you very much, Shraddha. Thank you for the opportunity you've given to me to share my story this evening. Right. My journey has really been one of growth, grit, and grace. The three of them: growth, grit, and grace. I started as a classroom teacher, young, hopeful, and then passionate about children. But early on, I noticed something. Teachers were often the last to be empowered, the last to be heard, and the last to be supported, despite being central to student success. So I didn't just want to teach, I wanted to transform. That desire led me to pursue leadership roles and eventually step into education, technology, and advocacy. That pivot wasn't overnight, I must be honest with you, because I was in the classroom for a good number of years. I was not even sure of how I was going to achieve this. I was not sure, but I was determined that I was going to get the best out of this, my profession. So I dedicated so much into professional development. I don't snooze on it. And I ensure that when I come back with this knowledge from these conferences, workshop, training, what have you that I'm attending, I am practicing those things that I learned, right? And then those things, thankfully, set me apart. So it took years of learning, basically, years of learning, unlearning, and saying yes to opportunities, even when they felt uncomfortable, because some of these things will come and they will not be comfortable. But the issue is we should just make ourselves available. So from serving as director in a school, a top school, to heading growth at EduSco, I started seeing education beyond the four walls of classroom. So there are so many challenges, plenty systemic, some personal. And these are just natural. These are just, sometimes these are the things that we are even supposed to solve. I mean, if you're a leader, you're coming to solve problems. So we cannot even have it always. Many teachers are frustrated by lack of resources. It's a common thing in schools, in education, poor pay and little recognition. There's often no clear progression beyond the classroom. So even if you look at a school setting, if you're a teacher, you're in the classroom, then you keep teaching for a number of years, you keep teaching. It's not like maybe in the universities that you can still scale and become. But if you're a teacher, that's what you will be for years. If you're not growing, if you're not working to become a leader, and you're very good at what you do, so that again discourages some people. They don't want to. So it's one of the challenges. And sometimes people in your network misuse the trust you give, while everybody's trying to find their bearings too. So it's not intentional, it's not deliberate. They're just doing their thing their way. And I've experienced that. People coming in with personal agendas, benefiting from platforms that I built and living without accountability. These are some of the challenges that I face. But I've also seen the power of community, the power of collaboration, the power of teamwork. So as it is on the other side, it is on this side too, right? You cannot have it all. So that's why I started an initiative like the Leading Ladies of Learning and the Changemakers Group. The Changemakers Group is just group teachers, both male and female. But the Leading Ladies of Learning, I saw when I was nominated as Top 100 Career Women in Africa by 95 Chic in 2024, and Power Women, Power 100 also in 2024. I look at the list. On the 9 to 5 chief, we have some educators, very few, maybe 3 or 4. On the Power Women, I think I might be wrong, but that I can say, I think I was the only educator. And we have a lot of women in education doing really, really well. So why are we not recognizing ourselves? So we need to amplify our voices. We need to support ourselves. That's why I came together. Brought these women together and say, let us, you know what, we can do this. We don't have to wait for people to recognize us. We don't have to wait for people, to encourage us. We can do this. We know what we do. We know our importance. So it has helped me encourage, it has helped me overcome my challenges, having clear sense of purpose, adaptability, faith, and service. These are the things that have helped me evolve over time. And I have not changed purpose. Whether in the classroom or on the stage like this, I am still here to educate, empower, elevate others, and also learn myself.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks so much, Sola. That's pretty inspiring. Apurva says on the chat, you've come a long way. It's such an empowering journey, and love what you said about the community, but also a lot of grit, right? Individual grit that goes a long way. Sola, the first time I saw your LinkedIn, what stood out to me was the brand you created for yourself. You've created a brand, Sogebra, which is a combination of Sola and algebra. And you've gained like 17,000 LinkedIn followers. You're Africa's top 100 career women. Please share with us your top 3 tips in building a personal brand and gaining recognition. So if you could tell us, how does also branding help in career advancement? And most importantly, how do you manage to do this alongside your full-time job? I know before the session began, some of the speakers were asking you that question. So we are all very interested to know this.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Shraddha. Apurva actually asked that question, and I think Dr. Jennifer, we also, talk briefly about it. The truth is, I didn't set out to become a brand. I did not. When I started my LinkedIn journey, I did not know. I was just doing my thing. I was just showing up. I was just trying to be consistent. I was just trying to share my work, my win, my thoughts. If I don't tell my story, who will? I am the owner of the trumpet. I have to blow my trumpet myself. I am not doing it to make other people feel bad. I'm not doing it to throw it at other people's faces, but I'm doing it to encourage other people that if I can do it, then you can. There's so many people that have gone ahead of us. They're doing these things, and it's really inspiring to us. So we don't want to do this good work, fantastic work. The world is a global village. We have to put it out there so that people can learn from it. And then just like you've seen my LinkedIn profile, and then you reach out to me. We are friends already. That's just the way it is. So sharing my wins, my work, my thoughts, and most importantly, my service. Over time, people connected with the heart behind the post. There's a heart, there's something like Dr. Jennifer said the other time she was talking about AI. AI cannot replace teacher. But I will tell you that teachers who do not embrace technology will be replaced by teachers who embrace technology, right? And then the very beautiful part of it is that we are really unique as human, and then our places cannot be taken out. Our hearts, that is it. That is our heart. So people connected with the heart behind the post, and that grew into a community. I'm still growing. I have friends that have already gotten to about 30,000 followers on LinkedIn. Yeah, so there's nothing that is impossible, just being you. So 3 top tips for building a personal brand for me is being consistent. You see that consistency. We say it a lot. We say be consistent. You know that you will be down at some time. You'll be disappointed. You'll be broken. Do you want to go back into your shadow in these times? No, you want to keep showing up because you understand that this time too will pass. And that is just the way life is. It has to be balanced. You cannot keep enjoying and then feeling the good side of life all through. You have to, the other side too will have to set in at some point. Then your resilience will show. So you have to be consistent, even when no one is clapping. The times you post, nobody is liking, nobody is commenting. It's not a problem. There are people reading your post, and when it matters the most, it will count for you. So you post your truth, share your value, and keep showing up. And be real. I don't want to be like Dr. Jennifer. I don't want to go and copy, oh, this is what Dr. Jennifer. There's something unique about me. There's something unique about approval. And that is what I want to do. I want to tell my truth. I want to stay on my own lane. That's the second tip. On my own lane. I know what I want to be known for. I don't want to be known for what Shedra is doing. I don't want to be known for what any other person is doing. Yes, I can borrow from them. I can learn from them. I can collaborate with them. But I want to niche down. I want to be known for me. So it's educational innovation for me. It's digital citizenship for me. It's learning designing for me. It's women empowerment in education for me. And this focus keeps my content clear and aligned. I'm not confusing my followers. I'm not confusing myself. And the last one is self. Don't just shine. So when you're just coming up, some people, they believe that LinkedIn script is for intimidation. So people come and post and they're intimidated. No, you want to serve other people. This is what I have done before. This is what I can do. This is what you can do if you stay consistent to, if you know what you're doing, if you can niche down. You're serving people. People can come to you. I love what you're doing. You're encouraging a lot of people that are not even telling you. Yeah, I see that a lot. So serve, don't just shine. People can spot it when you're authentic. When you serve others, you support others, and you give freely, your brand builds itself. You don't need to do so much. It builds itself. People get to know you. And then there's so many things I do it with joy. Just the same question that people have been asking me. A lot of people that I was asked here, a lot of people ask all the time. Now, how this branding has helped my career, it opens doors I never would have imagined. I mean, this is me. This is a global stage. We have different people from different countries watching this now on YouTube, on all the channels, So it opened doors that I might not even dream of if I am in my small village trying to do my thing. From speaking gigs to partnership to funding opportunities. I do quite a lot of things, and then I get people that's what even Lab Exchange supported me sometimes ago. So you can imagine. So people want to work with people they know, people they trust, people they can relate to. So your personal brand is like a passport. It helps you travel farther and faster. So they already know that this is what you say you do. It's not when you need the fund. They're now saying this is what you already, your digital footprint is already there, and it can be traced and say that this is what this person do. And how do I balance it? Oh, that's a whole lot. It takes structure. I use tools like calendar, and I have, on Monday, this is what I want to post. Sometimes I already have the post. It's just for the time to come so that I post it. And sometimes what I want to post could be spontaneous, and then I post it. I just enjoy doing it, but we need to be very, very intentional about what it is that we post. And rest is a part of it. We need to really rest. Okay, so thank you.
Thank you, Sola. That was really inspiring. Just how real this is, want to be real and not and also be comfortable with speaking your truth, like you said. Just and how it opens up opportunities, right? You could be doing something amazing in your own little space, but the willingness to share it with the world and then look at what comes about there. So just love it. I'm going to quickly, looking at the time, move to our fourth amazing speaker. So we're also moving from education, edtech, social impact to now the corporate space and learning design in corporate. So Apurva is a learning experience designer at Amazon with over 6 years of expertise in training, development, project management. She's moved from edtech to corporate learning about 2 years back and now collaborates with cross-functional teams to create learning environments that align with customer needs and business goals. She's passionate about integrating social and emotional learning into her work. Apurva, so happy to have you here. Let's start with this first question, which is if you could tell us about your role as learning experience designer at Amazon, and also shed light on the other roles in learning that exist in companies like Amazon.
Okay. Thank you so much, Shraddha, and thank you so much to LDC for having me over. And I'm so overwhelmed right now to hear all the personal journeys, and it's so empowering to learn everybody's lessons and how they have their USP. So I think I had a lot of takeaways. I'll quickly give a background of how I transitioned and what I do at Amazon. So I thought when I was starting my career that I wanted to solve the problem of math phobia because my mom has been a mathematics teacher, and I thought, okay, I'll solve for that problem. And then when I started solving one problem, I realized that I enjoy working with learners from different segments, and that became the baseline of my learning design career and my transition from edtech, from government to legal tech to now corporate spaces. My role as a learning experience designer at Amazon involves working with different teams to design training programs to ensure that we are able to have the trust and security for all the customers who are on Amazon. It could be a buyer, it could be seller. So essentially all the people who are here on the call, and if you use Amazon as a platform, we work with those teams to make sure that our customers feel safe enough when they are buying, and no illegal behavior happens, and we are able to detect that early on. So we design those training programs. I work in collaboration with different kind of teams who work on policies, who work on operations, who work on training. So I manage that. And what other kind of roles exist? So I'll give a preview of how different kinds of learning experience design roles are there at Amazon, and then a high level understanding of how these roles differ from organization to organization. So within Amazon also, it clearly depends on the team that you're working on. Sometimes you might be focused on leadership development, so your audience would be really, really different. Sometimes you are really focused on preparing the frontline workers. So then your training and the way you collaborate with all of your stakeholders, that changes. And then there are other times when you're focused on only certain parts of the process. So what process I'm talking about here is the process of ADDIE, and I'll elaborate on that acronym in a bit. So we know that as part of the learning design, it starts from the analysis. Why do we even need a training program? So analysis is really, really important for companies like Amazon, where we find the data, we realize that this is the problem that we are trying to solve for, and then we work on that problem. And another big role is how do you balance the needs of your learner and your customers, as well as making sure that you're serving the goals of the business. And that is like a stark difference. When I was working for edtech and now I'm working for corporate, I always need to keep my North Star in mind, that we have certain business goals. And while I also want to make sure that my learners are ready to take that training program, they feel successful, they feel confident after those training programs. So that helps me define my design for the training. And then we get into the development, which is the second D of ADDIE. And then we get into implementation. And then last but probably the most important part is evaluation. How is your training doing for the business as well as for your learner and your end customer? And how do you continue to iterate that? And we work in spaces where changes happen almost on a weekly basis. So we have to make sure that our trainings are up to date for each and every new batch of trainees who are going to join, and they need to be prepared for their job. So that's how the role looks like for me. And there are different teams and organizations inside and outside Amazon, where you might just be focusing on only design and development, or you might be focusing on analysis, design and development. Because when you're working with external clients, what happens is they've already done the analysis, they just know what they're looking for, so you need to design and develop the product for them. And I think in some areas we call them instructional designers, but when you talk about learning designers, it's mostly focused on that end-to-end journey for your business, for your learners, and for yourself also, because you learn a lot on the go, right? So that's how it looks.
That was really insightful, Apurva. Just also the difference between, learning designer versus instructional designer, and how, from analysis to evaluation versus the design and development stage. I guess Amazon, being like a really big company, has those very specific roles. In some of the corporates, the roles are not very clear cut, and they may just have a 2 people team or just one person who's doing all of this, Addy, right? But it was really fascinating to know about the range of roles that exist in a function like that in big corporate. Apurva, I think you touched upon some of the questions here, but just wanted to get a slightly more detailed answer to this, so how does the learning design role, how is it different in corporate and in education? Because there are quite a few, we get a lot of questions about people wanting to move from education to L&D corporate sector and vice versa, right? So what are the key differences and what helped you make this transition from edtech to corporate learning?
Right. And I think that question brings a lot of nostalgia for me because I had this question for myself 2, 3 years back when I made that transition. So I'll start with the biggest difference that's there in the edtech spaces versus the corporate spaces. So in edtech, you need to make sure that you make your learners realize what is the importance of this topic, versus in corporates, that importance is already defined and they need to learn to perform their jobs. So your learning design really needs to be application based. Are you able to prepare them for the skills that they need to showcase when they are on their job? Because they are not here to gather knowledge, they need to be sure of how do they put that knowledge into application. That's the corporate part. In the edtech spaces, however, that gaining that knowledge takes the forefront, where your learner wants to understand why are we doing it, what is the background, and probably at a later stage you might be putting it into application. So that's the biggest difference, and I believe that humans operate on a need based theory. So with young learners, I had to always make sure that I'm creating that need in my learning designs. However, in corporate learning spaces, people already know the need because they know that they have to learn certain skills to perform their job. So what are the kind of skills and behavior that you're preparing them for? So that's one of the key differences. The second difference is how you present that learning. And when I say that, what I essentially mean is in corporates, you're always trying to solve for a problem through training. What is training even the solution to that particular problem, or is it something else? It could be a behavioral issue, it could be an environment issue. However, when you're talking about edtech, when you're designing those learnings, it's part of the curriculum, right? Or it's part of those modules or the course that your young learners are taking. So what is it that you are trying to achieve? So knowing your audience really, really helps, because I've worked with kids, parents, teachers. So helping them understand the need for it, that helped, and being able to empathize with them. That's the second key difference. Now, quickly coming back to the second question that you asked, Shraddha, how did I make that transition and what helped me? I think the biggest thing that helped me was, I'll put it down in three pointers. So one is learning the design skills, so adult learning theories. What are different kinds of learning frameworks? What really works for adult learners, and what how is it different from what I was doing for my young learners? So for adult learners, again, problem solving gets prioritized over creativity, and you also need to learn how to operate within the limited constraints, and you are always on a timeline, which might not be the case when you're working with young learners. That's one. Number two, having the knowledge of using those tools. So I learned those tools on the go, and I used to experiment with different tools. I had the privilege of working in different teams where we had different kind of LMS or different kinds of design tools that we were using. So try that. Don't have a goal in mind in the beginning that you know it has to be perfect, because I had that mindset that okay, this has to be perfect, and then that helped me move. And then the third point is networking with people. Start reaching out to people on LinkedIn, knowing their journeys, have that exploratory conversation. And if you also want to try, appear for interviews. So don't go into interviews thinking that, oh, I have to clear it. Learn. interviews have taught me a lot. What is it that I bring to the table, and what is it that I'm looking for? So getting that right alignment, and that happened last year.
That's wonderful, Apurva. There were so many. I could make notes, write an essay on that one after listening to this, but lots of insights there. I'm looking at the time. I'm sure there are questions already popping up on the chat, so maybe we'll take that. But just before we do, I have a small request to everyone attending this session today. LDC is a volunteer-run community, and everything we do, these kind of events, resources, spaces like this, it's all free for members, but they're not free to run, right? So behind the scenes, we often pick up costs for tools, platforms, and offer these learning spaces. So if you find value in today's session or just the work that we do and you believe in this free flow of knowledge, we'd be very grateful if you could consider chipping in to support our work. We're going to paste a link here on chat. It's a small link with a sort of a $2 sort of contribution. So feel free to access it towards the end of the session, and every bit helps us. With that, I'm good. Let's move on to the questions that participants have for us. Miriam, I'll pass on to you.
Thank you, Shraddha. That's been amazing. It's been so enriching listening to everyone's conversations today. And one of the things I love about these live events is that we record them. So I personally get to go back and watch them on YouTube later to really take it in and learn some more from everyone. So just in the interest of time, the question that I have for everyone first is, sorry, where did my question go? Okay, the first question is from Lacey, and she is asking, when you're upskilling or career transitioning, are there any tips for how to best prepare yourself to move into these new roles, especially if you're building yourself, you're making yourself more hireable for a new career, if you're a newbie particularly. So would love to hear, maybe we can hear from Jennifer first, Anurati, and then Apurva, and then Sola.
In terms of a new career, let me just go back to the question. If you don't mind, here, newbie learning designer, would love to hear more about GamePay. Oh, sorry, was it that one? Sorry, I missed.
No, totally fine. Yes, she has two questions. So the second question there is, when you're upskilling or career transitioning, are there any tips on how to best prepare yourself to move into those new roles?
Wow, that's a really big question, because I pivoted from the classroom. I was in the classroom, a former teacher for 27 years before I joined university, and then before I actually became a consultant. And I think you have to really, I loved what you said, Sojubra, about being authentic, being real, being who you are, and just wanting to follow your passions. So something in 2014 just compelled me to try and have a big impact on more students. And if I worked with teachers, if I work at the university, I was going to have a big impact. And I suppose some of the skills or some of the endeavors I took on was postgraduate. That really helped me. My postgraduate and master's and my doctorate is in educational technology, because my undergraduate was all in mathematics. And so, Apurva, I'm really interested to talk to you later. I was a former math teacher for 27 years. And, my role, I think, is really to try and eradicate math anxiety and bring joy back into the classroom with mathematics and all subjects. So I think doing courses, some research, postgrad, if it's an area that you really are passionate about and you want to move into. And so I pivoted from mathematics to educational technology. Yeah, in that way.
Thank you so much. I think just in the interest of time, we'll just ask also Anurati if she has any thoughts there.
Yeah, sure. I think it relates to both of Lacey's questions. I think building pet projects really helps. So, even if it's getting into game-based learning, build the game that you want to build. It doesn't have to be the most perfect thing. It should be useful for you, and getting quick feedback. So making it getting it out there with people who can provide you feedback, and building your portfolio, which you can then use to apply for further. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Sola, the next question is for you. we have a question from Bindu, who's an educator who designed various school events and focused on making learning fun, both for and bringing together educators and parents and students. And Bindu did this for 25 years and still has a lot of creative ideas. So is there a way that Bindu can take it forth to schools without being a teacher?
Right. I'm trying to also read the question from my end. Can you please repeat the question?
Yes, I'll also paste it in the chat box if that helps, because I think I spoke quite a bit there.
Okay, so as an educator, I've designed various school events that make learning fun, events that brings educator, parent, or work for 25 years with elementary school. I resigned, still buzzing with creative, but how do I take it for? Oh, fantastic. So you definitely have solutions to some of the problems schools might be having, or parents, or students. So the first thing I would advise that you do is you don't just want to jump at schools, because no school will want to listen to you if you don't have a clear value proposition. So you want to have a clear value proposition. This is how can the school directly benefit from your, program, how teacher and parent. You want to set your ideas apart. You don't want to model up everything. You want to have a unique way of engaging parents, because we have other people that are also doing that too. Then you might also want to create a portfolio or a proposal to this effect, because sometimes you might not have the opportunity to meet with the administrator of the school or whoever you have to meet in the school. It might be your proposal that they will be seeing. And then all of the activities that you said you've done before that you've created and school have benefited from, you want to put them together so that it speaks for you. Then you also have to be intentional about networking. We talked about LinkedIn, visibility, not just LinkedIn, we have Instagram. You need to also network with school administrators so that you'll be able to reach them and then give us your experience, you'll be able to pitch it to them. You can also do offer program or event. It is not everything that you start talking about money. Remember, we said serve first. When you serve, your brand will be known. So you might want to come up with certain things to some of these school administrators. Okay, I can do this with your school, and this is what your school will benefit from it. Like that. You can tap into school parents, PTAs, their program, since your event involve both parents and educators. So you want to also reach out to these people. Be big on your digital platform, leverage it, collaborate with other educators. And I would say that if you do all of this diligently, then it will be fine.
Awesome. Thank you so much. That was insightful. Again, I wish I can't wait to watch all of this again and take notes. Anurati, I'm going to combine two questions for you, just in the interest of time, because we have a question from Hao and we have a question from Lacey, who are both very interested in gamification in learning. So are there any strategies that can be applied effectively in general, and maybe any tips for skill building that you can share with us? I know it's a huge topic, but if you could share off the top of your head.
Yeah, I think we need to organize another webinar for that for sure. But I think it is valid for all kinds of audience. I mean, when you think of game-based learning, it's not just for kids. So many products have done it. Even for gamification, done it for across thematic areas. I mean, I can share my own personal project last year where we created learning modules on HPV for young people, and it was a complete game-based learning approach that we took, and it was actually successful. So for that, it was shocking that young people want to actually learn about something as serious as HPV. So there's a lot out there, serious games that look like fun but give you learning, games that look educational but are actually a lot of fun and somewhere in the middle. So I think another webinar would be great. And I'd also love to learn in that. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing. So I'm just very aware of time. So I just have one question for everyone here. If there's something you wish you had known earlier on in your career in this learning space, what would it have been? If you could just share one sentence to wrap it up. Jennifer, could you go first?
If I could share something that I wish I told myself, maybe when I was 18. Oh, that's a tough one. Perhaps just really embrace those challenges, because what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. And you're going to go through a roller coaster. With my first book on concept-based mathematics, that was actually rejected by the publisher and the editor first time round. So I suppose just, embrace those challenges. Don't give up. Don't give up on your dream, and you can still, fulfill your dreams.
Thank you so much. Apurva, could you share?
I'm going to share two things very quickly. One is fail fast. Don't wait for things to be in the perfect manner before you share it forward. And then ask the right questions to the right people at the right time. If you don't ask, the answer is going to be no.
That's wonderful. Thank you. Sojabra.
Thank you, Sajibra. Okay, again, for me too, it's kind of tricky. However, if there's something I wish I knew earlier, is that in challenges, I shine. And I shine in challenges because I stay focused and you have solutions to these challenges. You're a problem solver. The problem is there for people to solve. So you don't shy away from challenges. You don't shy away from problems. It is in those times that you shine and you find creative ways to turn obstacles into opportunities for growth and innovation. Yeah.
Thank you so much. Anurati?
Yeah, I think things take time. And another thing to my younger self would probably be just celebrate how far you've come each time, just because there's so much more to do. Having, there is a pace to the journey which we can't control. Yeah.
Those all make so much sense. Thank you all so much. Really appreciate all your insights. I can't wait to sit quietly and digest all of this afterwards. Shraddha, I guess back to you.
Just getting this feeling like we're a group of grandmoms, with such wise words coming from ladies. And we're all either in the middle of our journeys, and there's just so much more to do. Especially I heard Anurati, and I've always seen her playing games and playful stuff. Just so nice to hear such wise words coming out of everybody's mouth. But thank you so much, guys, for joining. And just before we close, I want to share very quickly what our upcoming events are. And obviously you can stay back. Like I said before, there's a networking session. I mean, it's not really just networking, it's connecting with more peers like yourself. I think we've spoken so much about the power of communities today. So do stay back and just connect with more people here. But to tell you what's coming up next, there's a reading club, reading meetup that's happening next Thursday. And this is where we read about we discussed the ATD competency framework that talks about what are the capabilities needed for learning professional in today's world. So do join that to discuss this, what skills matter as we are observing it in our organizations. After this, we will have next one. We'll have a session with Mr. Abhijit Bhaduri. He's worked across companies like Microsoft, Wipro, Colgate, consulted with Fortune 500 organizations worldwide, and he's joining us to share his insights on evolving role of L&D professionals and also the shifting roles from the traditional L&D to AI-powered talent development. What does that look like worldwide? So that's going to be very insightful. After this, we also have, for the first time, a workshop on sketchnoting.
Sorry.
Yeah, and I want to just paste this on the chat. You'll see what I mean by sketchnoting. If some of you follow us on LinkedIn, you may have been seeing that we come up with these really fancy, fun sketch notes based on the session that capture the highlight of every session in a really, easy to grasp sort of way. So the person who designs these sketch notes, Aditi, who's also a volunteer with LDC, would be conducting this session. So if you are interested in exploring alternative ways of communicating, concepts, ideas, etc., do join us for this sketchnoting workshop as well. And last but not the least, we also run an LDC blog, and we are looking for entries on games, gamification and game-based learning. So if you've experimented with game-based learning or gamification in your context and you want to share your stories with a wider community, our members are across 38 countries. So we share these blog through our newsletter as well as our LinkedIn. So do submit your entry for this blog as well. With that, I just want to thank everybody for these amazing insights that you shared today and really candid, stories of inspiration, of success, of challenges and everything. So thank you so much for joining us. And very shortly now, we will have the casual conversation, and we'll start that in just a bit. But anything you'd like to say, speakers, as you move, and you're welcome to stay back if you like.
Thank you so much for hosting this wonderful session and connecting with us. I'm going to be having some conversations after this, I think, with quite a few people. That would be lovely.
Definitely. Thank you, Jennifer.
I think it was such a learning session for me because I got to learn a lot from everybody's journey, and I would love to know if anybody in our audience has their journeys to share or any questions to ask. And thank you so much to the LDC Wonderful Women community for organizing this. I think I have learned a lot from there, and it has been such a good supporting system for me for the last 1 year or so, and I look forward to all the events.
Awesome.
Yes.
Apurva is also one of the oldest members of LDC. So thanks. And also thank you everyone for staying 10 extra minutes.